Hello, my crafty friends. This is the process tutorial for the Zoom class that we did on Sunday, the 5th of June, 2022. It is the hide and seek fun fold card. They're quite fun to make, and it has a little mechanism that I will go through with you. And if you do it step by step, it's not hard. So I've decorated this one in the Wild Berry Blast from Close to My Heart. And I've just done some stamping, and I've used, you can just sort of see that there, a bit of shimmer pen. These papers have already got the gold, oh, this is silver inlaid in it. And then just embellished with a bit of some enamel dots, if that's going to focus there. There we go. Hand drew in those little antennae. And then when it opens up, this is the hide and seek bit. So the bit that you can see here now will fold under, and then another one at the bottom comes down. Isn't that funky? So that's the hide and seek card. Now this is just done on a standard, I've just used A5 and folded in half. Now, I'm not going to show you all the decorating part today. It's just mats and layers and however you want to embellish. You do need to keep in mind that the two little panels in here need to not have any embellishments that are going to be raised. Otherwise, they will get stuck under here. You know, you can do whatever you want in this area. Just also keep in mind there's nothing raised here. And then whatever you want to do on the front. And I've just popped mine up onto some foam tape there. So I'm not going to run through the decorating of the card. I'm just going to run through how we do the mechanism part. So like I said, it's just a standard A5 card and then fold it in half to make your standard A6 base. Now you do need to put on these two panels here. So this pink, what do you call that, plaid layer and this layer here, you need to put those on before we put the mechanism on. Now for the mechanism, I will put some still shots at the end of this video so that you can have this little template, but this is just a little template that I made up. So I knew what I was going to be cutting and what I'm going to be scoring and what is waste. So anything in red is a cut line, anything in green is a fold line, and then the blue line is also a cut line, but it has to be done after you do the red. So we'll go through and do this mechanism part here, and this is what it sort of ends up like when it's all cut out, and that's how it all folds together. And where you put your glue, I'll also put a still of that at the end of the video as well, because it just might help you to know where you're going to put your glue when you do it all. And it just operates on these little where they fold in on each other. And we've used this mechanism, this part of the mechanism before in another card in our Zoom classes. So that's essentially what we're going to make. So you need to start off with a piece that is 12.5 by 9, that's centimeters, and then we're just going to make some little marks. We're going to build basically a grid, and I find it the easiest way to do it is to actually build the grid, and then you know where you're going to be marking for the rest. So while you're working it in the landscape side, along the 9 centimeter side, my words failing me today, we're going to mark it at 2 centimeters and 5 centimeters, and we're going to do that on the top and on the bottom, and we're just going to join those two marks up. Just draw a pencil line between. Now you don't see any of these pencil lines, so it doesn't matter how light or dark you make it. You can do it in pen if you want. But you don't get to see any of these pencil marks once you put all the layers onto this mechanism. So this is the mechanism that we're making here. So those two marks along the 9 centimeter were at 2 and 5, and then do them again down the bottom, and then just run lines, join them up. Now rotate this left so that the 2 centimeter piece is at the bottom. So this was the 2 centimeter mark we made. Make sure that's at the bottom. And then along this 12.5 centimeter side, we're going to mark at 1 centimeter, 2.5 centimeters, 4 centimeters, 8.5 centimeters, 9.5 centimeters, and 11 centimeters. So I'll go through those again, and we're going to do the same thing at the bottom. So we're marking at 1, 2.5, 4, 8.5, 9.5, and 11. And then like we did before, we're just going to join these up. And this is what's going to make our grid. And like I said, you don't see any of these pencil marks, so you don't have to worry about doing them light or rubbing them out later. It all gets hidden up once you put all your layers onto it. So for those that joined me on the actual day in the Zoom class, I hope you enjoyed that. I have a Facebook group if you want to put up some photos of what you made, and it's Crafty Fun with Mary, FB group. I'd love to see what people make after they've done the class. So you're very welcome to go and put your makes up in there. Right, now that we have this grid, we've got the 2 centimeter piece at the bottom here. We're going to mark in what we need and what is our cut line. So we're going to now mark in all of these bits and pieces where we're coming down. So we will start on the right hand side, and we're going to be doing this mark here. So it is in on this first line here in from the right hand edge. We're going to mark down 1.5 centimeters from this junction here. So 1.5 centimeters down, just put a little pencil mark, and then we're going to join that pencil mark, that's the one we just did there, up to the next line over to the left and over to the edge. Now, once you made one template, you could keep this template and then make others. So that was 1.5 centimeters down from this junction here. So 1.5 centimeters down, and then we just simply drawn a line from there across to the right hand edge, and then a line over to the next line on the left. Then we'll do this one here, this part of this cut line, which is along here, along this 2 centimeter line here. So we're going in from this third one in, so 1, 2, 3 in, and we're working on that 2 centimeter junction point. And we're going to mark 1.5 centimeters in and 1.5 centimeters up. So 1.5 centimeters in and 1.5 centimeters up. Now, this 1.5 centimeters up also matches where this line is here. This is 3 centimeters, and we marked down 1.5, and we've marked up 1.5. So we know that when we go to draw our line across, that these two here will meet. We're not putting a line across here, but we know that this line is in line with this point here. So the next one we're going to do is this one over here on the left. And we're going to work in from the second line in from the left, and still working on this 2 centimeter line. So the second one in from the left and working on this 2 centimeter line. So this junction here. And we're going to go 1.5 centimeters up and 1.5 centimeters down. Now, the best way to do that is to actually put your ruler at the 1.5 centimeter mark on the junction point, and then mark at the end of the ruler and at 3 centimeters. So that will give you a mark from that junction point, 1.5 centimeters up 1.5 centimeters down. Now from this one here that we went 1.5 centimeters down, we're going to do a diagonal line from there across to the third line from the left, and then across to the first line from the left. So going to do what we did up here, but just on the opposite side. So that was joining up this 1.5 centimeter down, and then joining up to the right hand side, and then diagonal over to the left hand side. And then we have this line here. So this line is marking up from this point here across to that 1.5 centimeter line that we did up. Now this seems complicated, but we're just making a template that we can use to mark out our cut lines. And then all we're going to do is join this line across to this line here that went up 1.5 centimeters. So we haven't drawn that in. So draw in. So we made a mark over here. We came in 1.5 and went up 1.5, and we needed to have penciled in that mark there. And then we're going to join that line up with this line here. And all of these points all join up together. They're all halfway between this point and this point, which is 3 centimeters. So they all line up. We're not going to draw a line across there, only to the left. And so that's what we've just now got, is this template here. So then I find it easiest to just squiggle out what we don't need, so we know where we're going to cut. So if we follow this one here, we're going to, this is a cut line here, so we don't need any of this panel on the left. We don't need anything from this diagonal line up, so none of that panel. We don't need that. So then we're following along this cut line here. We don't need anything that's in there. We don't need any of this. So this is the cut line that we're following. So none of that and none of this top panel. We don't need any of this panel here, which is the first panel. So this is our cut line here coming up, and then it comes across. And then these are score lines. So we obviously need all that. There's your next cut line, and we don't need this panel here. So this is the cut line. We're going to have one here, and then we come across and come down. So all of this top piece we don't need. So if it makes it easier for you, you can go around and double go over these lines, which are your cut lines. These are the red ones, so that when you go to cut it, you'll know where you're cutting. You could even do this in a colored pen. Like I said, you're not going to see any of this. So you could go around and do this in like I've done on my template, and that will make it super easy for you to know where you're going to cut. Once you've made one, you get the better understanding of how you do that. So I've just gone around and made my cut lines that little bit darker. So I'm just going to grab a pen now, a pair of scissors, and we're going to cut these out. So I'll start here with this little panel here, which is here, and that's a really simple cut. So just cutting along my file lines, my lines that I've drawn that I know are my cut lines. And then we have these ones here. Now I find it easiest, so I know all of this is not going to be needed. So I'm just going to cut that out in one big chunk. So if you break it down, it's not so bad. And then I've just got these little bits left. And then you just follow along the lines that you've made. You could absolutely do this with a craft knife. It would be very hard, I think, to try and do this on a trimmer. But definitely you could do this with a craft knife. Nearly done. Right. So now that's what we're left with. And this is actually upside down at the moment. When we do it, it's actually going to be that way. So we're kind of working on it upside down just at the minute. Right, now we need to do this blue line here. We can do that now, or we can do it last. It doesn't really matter. And we've still got to do the green lines. Now the green lines are bold lines. So I just use my scoring tool. It has the little balls on the end and a ruler. And I'm just going to trace around where my green lines are now. So it's the very edge here, and we're just forming a little tab. And then we're going to do those two diagonals. I think this also would be hard to do on a trimmer, so a little scoring tool or your bone folder would be fine. So I've just done these. So working on the left-hand side, that's just coming down here, doing the two diagonals, and then doing this piece here. And then we slip over to the other side, and it's essentially the same thing. Going to do the two verticals and then that diagonal. And then really that's all that's left is then we're going to shape this to make those little V's go in. And that's what makes the whole thing swing, is those diagonal score lines that we did is what is essentially what makes that all work. So the last thing we have to do is this blue line here, which is a cut line. And that's it's not all the way across here. We don't want to cut it off. So you want to come in from the second line on the left here across. So we're just going to create this little piece here. So we don't want to cut off all the way. We just want to basically, if you imagined all of this to be like a diamond, we're just going to go from the center in across to the end. So that's from here across to the end. So don't cut it all the way, just to that center point there. And this was so you have this here. So now we're just going to reinforce these score lines we did. So we created a little tab here on the left. And remembering we're actually working upside down. So this is actually how this mechanism goes. If you flip it round, that little flap now is on the right. And then we have these two score lines. So these are done. So you had that one there as well, that ran down the center of it, and then you have the two diagonals. So we're going to push down, and you're just going to sort of pinch it down for now. Once you've sort of pinched it down, it's going to automatically want to fold in. See how that, and then they just meet. So just by pinching it and just manipulating it down a little bit, it will automatically want to do that anyway. So we'll do it again here over on the other side. So we're just going to fold in the 2 long vertical ones that we did. And then we have the diagonals here. And just going to, again, push down, and we're just going to pinch them in a little bit just to start that off. Just pinch them in a little bit on that score line. They don't have to be perfect at this stage. And then it just automatically is going to want to fold in on itself. So the 2 lines will want to come up and meet each other. And then just crease that down. And so what we've got, so that was how that was here. So we're now working with this little tab here. Before we had it all cut out this way, we're going to flip it round. And now we're going to work with this little tab on the right-hand side. And so this is what makes it all work. So when that folds in, this is this top one here that holds this piece here. So it's sitting up that, and then when the card opens, it folds out flat, and that's why it comes in, tucks in underneath a piece here. And the same with this here. When the card folds in, that's what your mechanism looks like inside when it's all down and it's tucked away. All I'm doing here is making sure this little piece here is out level. So I'm just manipulating that a little bit. If you don't have it sitting this, it's going to be crooked when it opens as well. So I'm just making that sit. And working with paper, you can basically manipulate it how you want it to go. Just about retraining paper and stuff like that. And you can, when you put your little piece on here, you can sort of make that all level again. So that's what we end up with. So then we're going to add glue. Working over here. So we're going to we're working on the inside of the card, and we've got to do one more step. So we need to cut out this piece here. So we started with a full card, but we need to have a half a card. So this piece comes down. So you'll have 8 centimeters here at the bottom, and we're going to cut off 6. So this is actually, it's going to come up a little bit. No, 8 is what we need. So from the bottom, mark up 8 centimeters. Do the same on the other side. And basically, we're going to cut this off across here. Now, you can do that in a trimmer, or you can just use your longer scissors, which is all I'm going to do today. So it's the top piece we want to remove. And you want to remove, so when you fold over, when that's flat, see how you got the ridge here of where you folded it? You want to remove the ridge as well. There we go. So now when you go to put your mechanism on, you need to have put your mats and layers on these front pieces. But for this video, I'm just going to show you how to attach these now. And you do want to use a strong glue or strong tape because this has got a lot of movement in it as it moves around, you know, when you're pulling it in and out. So you want to make sure you know, that you've got it on nice and secure. So this is our piece when it's all folded out. So we're going to put glue on these two panels here up to where that diagonal score lines are. So glue on those first two panels. Now we're going to do it one at a time. So we'll just do this first end piece here. So glue up to the diagonal, don't go over the diagonal. And when we line this one up, it's going to line up along this edge here. So the whole mechanism is, you can't really see it there, but it lines up along with this edge here. And the easiest way I found is to line up your score line with the score line. So we've just put glue onto this here and then fold your card back over. And that way then too, you also know that the mechanisms are not going to get interfered with as well. So you've got the room for it to all move and close. So glue up to those diagonals, lining up your edges along here, lining up your fold line on your mechanism with the fold line on your card, pushing it up in together, and then just allowing that glue to grab on. So that's where we've got there. Then we need to adhere to this side here. So the other two pieces up to that diagonal line is where you're going to put glue again. And then we do the opposite. We're going to just bring over the left-hand side to it. Let that grab on. And now that's adhered onto there. Don't worry about what's happening at the moment. All of this is going to work. So then these other glue pieces here are the panels. So this is what all of these sit on. So what we need to do is do this last little glue tab here. And this is what, when you bring the card around, it anchors it all down to this side here. So working with your card open and your mechanism now coming out over to the right hand panel, we're just going to put glue on this piece here. Just this little end tab. And it tucks under. And then just simply push that out flat. So the little tab tucks under. So you had glue there, tuck it under, and then just glue down to the right-hand panel. Now, when you fold your card back, you're going to make this all, you have to manipulate these panels again to want to come back down, and the same with this one here. You have to manipulate it again for it to just pop it back out. So it needs to sort of sit in so that when you fold, they all fold in within the card, except for this one here. It does stick out. Now see how it's crooked? That was what I was trying to straighten up before. You know, you could fiddle around with it, but when you go to put these pieces on here, you know, it doesn't really matter, so long as this piece here is nice and straight on there. Now when you do put this top piece on, see how I've left a little gap? you just need to have it not right up against this here, because otherwise it's going to interfere. Just have it slightly off. And that attaches to this one here. And then flip your card open. So when you've got your card open, this panel here, so when you attach this piece here, it all sits up nice and flush. It actually sits up flush with this piece here and flush with the side. So flush with that little end piece, flush with the side. And then this piece here is what sits in flush to these here, and you put glue along here. So that's this here, this glue panel here, and glue along up to there. So it's glue along here, glue there, and glue along here. Don't go over this side here. And then this piece here was what we did up the top. So that just needs to be popped out. When you flatten your card out, it all flattens down. Just pop it back out and everything folds inside. And then the rest of the cards you can decorate after you've done this mechanism. So that's how that all works. It's not really hard. It just takes a little bit of time to make your little template and then decorate it up how you want. They're just really funky because you get to see that piece there, but you don't know that something else is going to pop out down the bottom. And it, you know, you could make that a funny little thing, or you know, whatever. It doesn't matter how you decorate after that point. So that's the hide and seek fun fold card. Now, like I said, I will put up some stills of this template and what this also looks like, where you've got to put your glue pieces as well, just to make that process a little bit easier. But have a go, and like I said, if you do make one, please share it in my group, which is Crafty Fun with Mary FB group. I'd love to see what you make. And if you like this video, please give it a big thumbs up, subscribe, hit the notification bell, and share my YouTube channel to the rest of your crafty friends. These Zoom classes that I do are free to everybody. They're a craft with along with me type of class. They're held every Sunday on at 1:30, which is Australian Eastern Standard Time. I'm in Queensland. And you will get a materials list put up in the actual Zoom class event on my Facebook page, Crafty Fun with Mary. So if you go over there, hit like to like my page, and then go into the events and click on going to the Zoom event. So every time I put up the materials list for the next Zoom class, you will get a notification. And that's the only place where I will put up the measurements that you need, and then I share that out to various groups. So you may see it in a group, but you can always get the original information from my Facebook page. So thanks for joining me today. I hope you enjoyed this one. It was really fun to make. My next class is on Sunday, the 19th of June, and we are going to be making a flower pot easel card gift box. So I hope you join me for that. Until then, bye for now.